Yeah, it's CC, the CEO. Wanna change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a gold builder that could teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychology black-owned firm, but we ain't all black.
What's up, everybody? What's up? Come on in, my friends. Welcome to the Grow Your Money podcast, where we talk about how to grow your money and not blow your money. Because if you blow your money, it ain't a damn thing funny. Yes. Come on in. Listen, you know that you are all family to me. This is a dialogue, and it's certainly not a monologue. What does that mean? What does it mean when I say that? It means that I want you to talk back to me, and I want you to talk black to me. Why? Because I enjoy talking to you. That's why I come here every day. Not only do I want to educate you, but I'd like to dialogue. I like to converse. You ever hear people say conversate? Is conversate in the dictionary, by the way? You know, I don't know when I hear professional people say conversate or conversate is one. It gets on my nerves. But anyway, I'm here to converse with you and not just talk at you, but talk to you, talk with you, and then share some things with you and for you, because it's all about community building. That's what I'm here to talk to you about every single day. Listen, I'm going to talk to you about how to take advantage of $1 million opportunities hidden in the hood, because there are. So I need you to go tell everybody. Constance Carter is on the Grow Your Money podcast right now. And let them know that we're talking about real estate investment opportunities because there are real estate investment opportunities out there. But before we get into it, I want to shout out the Black-owned businesses. So if you are a Black-owned business, if you have a Black-owned business, put it in the comments. Why? Because I want to make sure that we celebrate you, number one, right on, because it is hard being a business owner. But number two, I want to make sure that we support you. So celebrate you and support you because, you know, if we don't patronize our own businesses, we're not going to make it. And so we have to work together in order to build ourselves out of this 400-year deficit that we've been in. That's one thing. The other thing is I always like to see where the people are watching from, because I know we have people that watch from all over the world, whether they're here in the DMV where I'm at, or Cali where I'm from, or Chicago, or sometimes I think yesterday we had somebody in Canada. We have people watching in Africa, Asia, in Europe. I love it. So where are you watching from? I see Miss Sophia is watching from Stockton, California. And oh, by the way, Miss Sophia just closed escrow on her home. So, and I appreciate you. Now I'm in the DMV area. She's in California, and we still made it happen. And so thank you for allowing me and entrusting me to work with you to get that done for you. So I certainly appreciate it. I mean, it's great when you have people that take care of business and always, you know, they have everything that you need. And so we were able to close like quick. What's up, James Higg? What's happening? What's up, Nita? Conversate is not a word. I think, James did a hit dog holler. So James, I'm gonna go ahead and put you on blast, Mr. James. You were in the Bring Your Idea to Life training, and you said conversate, and I had to say, maybe credit a little bit. Because it's converse, and I think I corrected you with the class because you showed it say conversate. It is not a word, sir. Conversate for a few, because that's the only time you should use conversate is when you quoting, when you rapping Biggie. Because in a few, what we got to do. Wait, conversate for a few, because in a few we gonna do what we came to do. Ain't that right, boo? True. So that's the only time I want to hear you use the word conversate, buddy. Don't say we out here conversating, because we ain't conversating. Okay. All right, biz strategist Sandy, thank you for joining us. Thank you, and I appreciate you sharing all the way from Georgia. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, miss. What's up, Sharon Williams from Infinite Life in Philly? What's happening, Philly? Yep, it didn't take long. What? I'm not clowning, James. You guys tell everybody what we doing today. Tell everybody we talking about real estate investment, okay? And tell everybody to don't use the word conversate. So I want to tell you, because listen, y'all, 80% of wealth in this country is generated through real estate. And I don't know if you know anything about me. If you know anything about Constance Carter, know this. I have sold a lot of real estate. I have sold thousands of homes. I built the largest Black-owned real estate firm in California. And I've made a lot of people a lot of money. because when I help them to invest, it's not just about them purchasing that one property. It's about looking at their whole entire portfolio. What is your wealth plan? How do we get you from point A to point B? Because I don't want you to just buy a house. I want you to build a portfolio. And so that is the approach that we have when we're helping you with your home ownership needs. It's not just putting you in a house and then calling somebody else and then calling somebody else. No, we need to strategize, because the only way that we can insulate, we got to play the game. We got to be able to play the game. And so I've made a lot of people a lot of money. I've been able to, sell a lot of homes, build a great business, help a lot of agents. And I'm still able to help people. I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and in California. So that's the reason why I'm an expert at this. Like, I am an expert. Like, real estate is my judge. Like, I know real estate. And so I want to help you to be able to do it. And see, a lot of people think it's like this big thing that you're unable to really accomplish or attain. One of my goals early on when I first got my real estate license was, I remember talking to my brother, my older brother, and he never thought that he can purchase a home. He didn't think that it was in his plan, in his life plan, to buy a home. And there are people like that, you guys. I don't know if you guys know, but there are people out there that think that they are just resigned to renting for the rest of their life, and they're okay with that. And it's not like it's not a bad thing. They just think, they don't even think beyond what their current situation and their circumstances. And one of my biggest goals when I first got my license is, I want to help my brother to be able to own a home. And so I've helped everybody in my family get homes. And now a lot of them are investors. They own multiple properties, and it's a beautiful thing. And so that's the blueprint. My kids have properties. By the time my daughter was 22, she owned her second property. I gave my son the keys to his first property at 18. Still have yet to buy my other two their properties, but they're coming. So these are things that I really intrinsically believe in, because again, 80% of wealth is passed through real estate, and then 90% of wealth in this country is passed intergenerationally. And so the reason why the wealth gap is so wide is because we were shut out. We were shut out of the wealth building opportunities. What's up, Miss Yvette Stevens in the Grow Your Money Club, who's also part of the B1 Real Estate Mastery Training, which is also a class that I teach, which I think we got class tonight, right, Yvette? I'm going to see you tonight. Yeah, we got class tonight. Yes. So I get on here when I don't have any notary signing appointments. And so that means you out here signing people that are, oh, my son is cleaning up his room. I just heard the vacuum. Look, ain't God good? That means that you out here helping people. You are a part of the solution of helping us to close the wealth gap. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you why we should take advantage of these opportunities that are in the hood. Because what's happened is they told us to fear the hood, and for some for the right reasons, right? But listen, corporations are buying them up like gold. If they see the value, then why don't we? The hood is not hopeless. It's a hidden gold mine. And so what I want to break down for you today is, I want to break down how you could take advantage before they lock it up for good. But I want to tell you how it got this way, because I always like to give you the historical perspective of how we got here, why we're here, but how we can take advantage and how we can empower. Because listen, if you go to the hood, if you go to Black communities, and all Black communities aren't quote unquote the hood. Speaking of which, I remember when I moved into my last neighborhood, and we were the only Black, and we were the youngest. We were the only youngest Blacks and the only Blacks in the neighborhood. Everybody was like white and over 60. Geritol. It was like a Geritol convention. But anyway, I remember the one neighbor, he said to me when I first met him, how'd you pull yourself up by your bootstraps to get over here? And then another neighbor, when I said hood, another neighbor said, welcome to our hood. They were relating. Yeah. So it's funny how you have these like unconscious, these subconscious opinions about a certain particular race. Even my neighbor, y'all. If you haven't heard this story, let me tell you the story real quick and I'm gonna go. So I had this neighbor who she lived right next door to me, and her house was like half the size of mine, right? And she ended up moving. One time well, I'm not even gonna tell you about that time, but she had moved out, bought another property, and she allowed these Black people to rent the house. Now there's two Black families in the neighborhood. And so we spoke in passing or something like that. But anyway, they had been there a year. She called me up. She goes, "Hey, Constance, I want to sell them this house, but I don't think that they can afford it. Blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, okay, she knows I own a mortgage company. Do you want me to help in some way? Whatever. So then she said, "Yeah, we're going to have dinner tonight. We're going to discuss it. So I may need your assistance." So the next day we spoke and I said, "So how did the meeting go?" And she goes, "I don't know, it didn't go that well." And I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "I don't know. They got all defensive." And I asked them, "Is this part of this Black Lives Matter thing?" Right. So I guess she just assumed that they couldn't afford this, that they didn't have money for down payment or whatever. And so they got defensive and they're like, "You don't know what we have. You don't know who our village is. You don't know anything about us." So, I guess she came at them like she was doing them a favor. And they're like, you don't. So they got offended. And so she tells them, "I don't know what you're talking about because the same soup kitchen you were in, I was in. The same welfare line you were in, I was in." And I said, "You said this to them?" And she's like, "Yeah." She thought that was okay. And I said, how do you know if they were on welfare? How do you know that they were in a soup kitchen line? She was like, "Huh? Why did you assume that these people were on welfare growing up?" She's like, "I don't know." And I said, "So do you think I was on welfare? Like, again, my house is twice the size of hers." She's like, "No." "Well, what do you think of me?" "I think you're just my neighbor." Huh. Okay. So anyway, she thought about what I said, right? "Why do you think that they came for?" So the next day she texted me and she was like, "Oh, I still probably have the text on my phone. I am so sorry. I didn't know." So that goes back to those unconscious biases and opinions that people have about certain people. The same soup kitchen you were in, I was in. She assumed that because they were Black, they grew up in the struggle and poverty on welfare. Anyway, I digress. But when we talk about the hood, but it just came out because I started talking about the hood. But anyway, so when we're talking about buying back the hood, Cousin Dro said, "I'm the only Black woman." Where do you live? And I rent. It's interesting the looks that I get. Are you in? Because I think you said you was in Hayward, Cousin Dro, right? Yeah, they didn't ran. If you're in Hayward, they didn't ran all y'all out. They didn't ran all of y'all out of Hayward. What's up, Miss Maria from Texas? So I want to talk about the strategy. Okay, you are in Hayward. Dang, ain't nobody in Hayward no more. That's crazy because Hayward used to be very, very, very Black. And Hayward's in the Bay Area, right next to Oakland, San Leandro, all of that. So anyway, I want to talk about the historical. How did we get there? Where are we? And then how do we get to where we need to go? Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, so I want to tell you how these hoods became hoods in the first place. So back after Reconstruction, then you had the Great Migration of the South. So people from the South were like, "Go north. There's jobs out there. There's factories out there. Go to Oakland, go to LA. You can work at the shipyards because they had the longshoremen, or go to Detroit and Chicago. They have the car factories, or go to DC and get the good government jobs." They came from the South. And so what happened is you had Black people starting to populate the inner cities, they're getting these jobs. And then you have what's called white flight. And white people started leaving these cities for the suburbs, which caused, then also when the white folks left, then businesses also left. They no longer wanted to do business. So then the local government did not support these communities in these neighborhoods. So they took out the businesses. And they basically bankrupt the cities. This is by design. And so the economies collapse in these cities. And then you have, you don't have jobs and you don't have things like that. And so then you have what's happened, urban decay. So then you have food deserts. And then you have COINTELPRO, introduction to crack cocaine by the CIA, who started putting drugs in these neighborhoods. So now you have drug infestation. And then all of a sudden you see guns dropped off into these communities. So now you see there's a lot of killing and there's a lot of drugs in these communities. And so now they are blighted. Now you see these communities, they are torn down. They look like war-torn areas. And that's how it happened. So while white people fled to these suburbs, Black people were not able to get loans. That's what was called, that's when redlining happened. So then they would only give loans to white people. So FHA, which was supposed to make homes affordable for everybody. Now we want to make homes affordable to everybody. Black people were cut out. They would not give loans, FHA loans, to Black people at all. And then so we couldn't purchase homes. But since I think 1960, we've had the same home ownership rates. Actually, our home ownership rates went up maybe about 5%, but we were still buying homes. And I was like, how are we still buying homes even though the federal government would not give us loans? There was many ways that we were able to still get loans. There were still Black-owned banks that were giving us loans. They were still there were people were they had land contracts which were kind of predatory. Land contracts were where they were, it was kind of like a lease to own. Somebody actually tried to do that with me here, and I almost did it. I was gonna anyway, but it was a way to purchase the property. And the only reason why I was gonna do it was because the mortgage was half the price that I paid on this mortgage now, and so we were gonna just kind of do an exchange. Anyway, what a land contract is you're kind of paying on the mortgage until you pay it off, and then you don't get the deed until then. So what we were going to do is I was going to pay her, and then it wasn't a lease to own though. It was called a land contract. So Black people were doing those back then. Sometimes they were predatory because they would not get the deed. They would not make good on the deed. So the land contracts will fall through because these private agreements weren't adhered to. They weren't following through with their contracts. They were very exploitive. They were high risk, and a lot of families lost their homes. But there were Black-owned banks, there were credit unions that were still giving Black people homes. And then there were cash purchases. Some were able to do it through inheritances. Some people pulled together to purchase homes, just like you see a lot of the Asian community and the Hispanic community doing now. They're pulling their funds together so that they could, and it's a lot of them living in houses. And let me tell you, I grew up in San Jose, California, and I remember we used to laugh at Asians. I'm not even gonna front. We used to laugh at Asians because it'd be like 15, 20 of them living in one house. They was on each other, stack. And we'd be like, 20 years later, they own San Jose. They own everything in San Jose. While we laughing, it's 20 of y'all motherfuckers living in the same house. You can't go nowhere and see that there's not a strip mall owned by some Asians. They know how to do it. And so we did do that back in the day. We were more community minded. Now, we can't live with nobody. We shooting each other a lot of times. Some of us over toilet paper. You drank my water. These are things that I've seen and that I've seen myself with my own eyes, just how some of us can't get along and look at the bigger picture. And I think if we had a plan, I think, just living together just for the sake of living together is not the solution. But if we have a plan, say we have a 10-year plan. Okay, y'all, we're going to live together. We're going to stack our cash. We're going to put all of our money in the pot. And then we're going to, in 5 years, you get a house. In year 7, you get a house, and everybody's contributing, then we can make that work. But we just didn't really understand that we needed a plan. And if we had a plan, I know that we can do it. Right. So we can't have a goal without a plan. Right. So the first step to actually executing a goal is having a vision for it. And so we need to have a vision if we do something like that. Right. So that's what would happen. That's how Black people still, in spite of the predatory lending, the redlining, were able to actually own homes back then when we just they were refusing. So then you have all of this stuff that happened. You have these blighted neighborhoods, you have drugs, you have guns, you have high murder rates, you have mass incarceration, all of these things that happen. And so what do? We are running away as far as possible from the hoods. Nobody wants to die just for the sake of staying in the hood. Ain't nobody trying to die. So we run away because it's dangerous. But guess what? Investors are buying up these properties. I don't know if you know, but investors own 2% of homes nationwide, but they own 30 to 40% of homes in majority Black zip codes. In cities like Atlanta, Detroit, Baltimore, corporate investors, they dominate. So you got to think about this. You got to follow the money. Because if they're seeing the value, then we need to take heed. Like a lot of people say, a lot of people like in DC, they say, don't go to Baltimore, don't go to Baltimore. Baltimore looks like a war zone in some areas. And I'm like, whoa, I see opportunity. And they're like, no, ain't no money in Baltimore. It's long-term money. Do you know you cannot get a house in DC nearly for under $1 million, and DC is Baltimore 20 years ago? Same thing people were saying about Washington, DC. So in Baltimore, they have all of these row houses. And now there, you can't just buy a house. You got to buy the block. You got to buy the neighborhood because it's a lot. It's a lot of blighted property. And this was all, part of the urban decay. This is all by design. But now corporations are coming in and they're buying up the properties. And their idea is to make us permanent renters. I was talking to a celebrity a couple of years ago, and he was like, he's from Houston, and he was like, yeah, he said, we don't like gentrification, so we buying up the houses ourselves. And I'm like, okay, dope. What are you doing with the houses once you buy? And he's like, we rent them out. Okay, so how are you promoting wealth building to the Black people? Because it's okay, you're not letting white people in, but you are, which is, you can't not let certain people in, right? But how are you empowering the community? So it's not just one step of, us as Black people, we need to own it, and we need to put Black people in it. So one of my goals for Baltimore, I'm gonna tell you, is to not only purchase the property, but create paths to home ownership, create wealth building opportunities, teach the people credit, teach them how to become homeowners, so then eventually they could purchase the properties. That's the goal. So I don't want to just keep a neighborhood Black for the sake of it being Black. What does that do? No, the idea is to create wealth. Okay. So these neighborhoods, these areas, these are gold mines because these investors, these corporations are flocking to the hood. It means that they value the long-term upside. Like I said, when you look at Baltimore compared to DC, DC didn't happen overnight. Of course, DC, you have the government, but Baltimore, even like Baltimore, I mean, that's just one example, because you have areas like Detroit, you have Cleveland, you have Birmingham, Alabama, you have St. Louis, you have Richmond, Virginia, you got Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, Philly. You have all those areas too. But in Baltimore, like I was saying, you have a harbor, there's great food. It's just tons of opportunity. In fact, the guy that's trying to steal my house, he bought Kevin Spacey's house, which was on the harbor, and Kevin Spacey had bought it for $5 million. So there is value in places like that. And you got to just know the areas. So how do you purchase these properties in these areas? There's several different ways. So land banks. I don't know if you know, but what a land bank is it's when a property is owned by that local municipality. You can purchase a home from a land bank for pennies on the dollar. Sometimes $500, sometimes $2,000, sometimes $5,000, sometimes $30,000. So you got to go to see where the land banks are. Now, there are people that are teaching this and they're making a lot of money from it. And you don't need to take a class to learn how to buy a property from a land bank. But what you do need is you need to know what their rules are once you purchase it. Because what I used to see back in the day when people were buying property in Detroit, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. So they were just buying, right? They were buying these $500 properties and then they were just keeping them. And then there were all these violations and then they had to cure them and they ended up having these big bills. Well, you gotta know that if you're gonna buy these properties, there may be violations, there may be permit, there might be issues with it. So you have to know what it is that you're doing when you buy it. And I talk about this in the B1 Real Estate Mastery Training. Is how do you properly go through the proper channels to make sure that you're purchasing a property free and clear, that is equitable, that you could transfer, that you could flip, hold, buy, whatever you need to do, that you could live in it, occupy it, whatever you need to do. You need to make sure that that's all completely done. Okay. So that's what you do need to do. But you don't need a training to teach you how to buy a land bank. You go to the land bank and you buy the property. Okay. Another way you can do it is through tax deeds or tax sales. So there's a difference between a tax deed and a tax lien, which I talk about in the B1 Real Estate Mastery Training also. But you can buy a property for the delinquent taxes. A lot of these properties have people who passed away, properties that are just sitting there, money that's there, and people come, they'll pay the pass-through taxes, and now the property is theirs. That's when they have tax sales. It depends on the area, but they have tax sales some twice a year and some once a year. So you can buy them through tax deeds, land banks. And one thing that Trump did when he was in office last time is he created the opportunity zone. So that's areas where you will get grants and funding to buy in certain areas. Well, that's where the big corporate. So he's saying, "Oh, I did this for the people." The only people who were really taking advantage of opportunity zones were who? What do you think? Corporations. So corporations were buying these homes in the hood, and they were getting these subsidies because they were in opportunity zones. Well, guess what? The reason why most of you aren't doing them is because you simply don't know about them. So you have opportunities to purchase properties with opportunity zones. And then there are also community development grants. I talk about that in the B1 Real Estate Mastery training as well. So those are ways that you could actually acquire these properties, but you have to know what to do with them. So some of the things that I teach, because it's important. I mentioned this yesterday. So if you didn't see yesterday, where I talked about credit in the beginning, I was ranting and raving about, excuse me, one second. Sorry, getting congested. I was talking about business because that is an important foundation that you need to have on if you're trying to be an investor, is you need to make sure that the foundation is solid. And how does the foundation get solid? Is creating businesses, and that's sustainable businesses, not a business, but a business. Having your infrastructure together, making sure your entity is tight, making sure you limit your liability, making sure you have tax protection and tax shelters, things like that. That's what's important. So you get in these properties and you're just buying them all willy-nilly. You don't really know what you're doing. You need to have a solid infrastructure. So buying it is cool. Go to the land banks. You can buy your property. But then what? How do you minimize your tax liability? How do you make sure if something happens on that property, now you're the owner, you get sued? How do you make sure that you don't lose everything? Those are also important factors. So when people are teaching you how to buy multi-units or how to buy tax sales, they're not teaching you how to create businesses and protect yourself. That's also a very important factor, extremely important factor. Okay. So I do want to tell you, so with these corporations, I seen New York had just passed a bill because there were tons of, and oh, by the way, did you know in New York, 1 out of 22 people are millionaires in New York City? I just saw that yesterday. It's crazy. 1 out of 22 people in New York City are millionaires. It's crazy. But new legislation just passed in New York that corporations couldn't, compete with with home buyers. So they have to wait, at least for the properties to be on the market 90 days. Okay. There's a cap in DC. There's a Senate bill in DC about there's a cap on how many properties that corporations can buy, because what they were doing is they were making people permanent renters. Not cool. So how do I take advantage of building wealth when I'm competing with a corporation who got an endless amount of goobs and gobs of money? So if I'm a seller and I want to get the most money from my property, or I want to sell the quickest, who do you think I'm going to sell it to? Whew. Who do you think I'm going to sell it to? I'm going to sell it to the highest bidder, or I'm going to sell it to the person who offers me the best terms. Sometimes the highest price is not the best term for me, because what if I just want to get out of the property in 2 weeks or 2 days, and a corporation is able to do that? And so you have that person, that corporation that's competing with the home buyer. That's not fair. And so they had to initiate, and I'm glad that they've initiated legislation to limit the competition between corporations. So there is an advantage, but I do want to tell you that you got to follow the money, because it's just like gentrification, y'all. Think about it. I get so tickled and upset because I feel like our people are reactive and not proactive. Why do I say that? Because y'all get pissed off at people because they didn't bought grandmama's house. They bought grandmama's house. They bought grandma. Well, you didn't get grandmama's house. Why are you mad at somebody else? Because they saw the value in something that you didn't see the value in. Now you mad at them. Liar. Now you marching. Liar, ginger, fight. What? Why are you mad at them? Leave people alone. They bought this house fair and square. You know why? Because you sold it to them. And now you want to be mad at them because they didn't bought grandmama's house. No. So you got to start being proactive. So all the people who lost grandmama's houses in these tax sales, and then I hear people say, well, the reason why they lost grandmama's house is because the taxes were too high. Grandmama's house was paid off. You mean to tell me you couldn't pay a $2,000 tax bill for the year, or a $3,000 tax bill for the year, or a $5,000 tax bill? You couldn't divide that mug up by 12 and pay it off. You couldn't go make arrangements with the tax assessor to take care of the tax bill. You couldn't do that. No, you can't take responsibility for losing grandmama's house. No, it's your fault while people are coming into your communities. DC used to be Chocolate City. It is no longer. It is Caramel. It is Swirl City. My daughter has her property is near Southeast DC, where it is totally gentrified. You cannot find a home over there under $1 million. It's crazy. And so it's because people have, they've allowed people to purchase their grandmama's houses that were paid off. And now you mad because now the neighborhood looks different. Or the remaining people who are still left in the neighborhoods like you, Cundro, they looking at them like they crazy. Like, what are you doing here? I go to Oakland, Down University. No, that's Palo Alto. That too. Dang, what's Oakland over there by Fox Theater? Dang, it's been a minute. It's been a few years since I've been to Oakland. But you go over there. Oh my God. I can't even think. Somebody tell me. But now they jogging. They got their big dogs. Somebody said they big dogs. They got their big dogs. They jogging. They pushing strollers. And they looking at you like, the hell you doing here? Where am I at? Am I in Oakland? They had a little townhomes now where the hood used to be, because you sold your property. Don't get mad at them. Get mad at yourself. Okay? So you have to be proactive and not reactive. And so now what I'm telling you now is, okay, y'all done lost grandmama's house. You done missed out on some opportunities, but there are still opportunities in the areas that you can still purchase at, but you got to want to do it. You don't want to do it. And I understand you don't want to die. So you don't want to live in areas where you're going to die, but there are still opportunities. Many of you are, you work remotely. You're able to purchase property anywhere. And you're renting somewhere. Perhaps you could purchase in an area that's not dangerous, but that is an area that has low entry point, because you don't want to rent forever. And even if you become an investor, say you become an investor, which is not a bad thing, it's a good thing, because I'm an investor. Do you know, since I've been renting my properties, rent has never gone down. It's only gone up. Rent will not go down. Rent has never gone down in the history of this country. It's only gone up. And so I'm seeing people who are buying homes with rent less than rent. They're renting more than what people's mortgages are. It's crazy. When I first moved here, I was renting a townhome, $4,000. Yeah. And I did it for much longer than I wanted to do it for. I only wanted to rent. When I came down here, I was like, and it was crazy. Let me tell you why it was crazy. When I first moved here, I was like, okay, I want to get a lay of the land. I want to see where I want to live. I don't want to buy just yet. I'll rent for a year. And I was looking and looking and looking, and I kept getting beat out. And so they were offering more money. And I'm like, look, I got great credit. I got money in the bank. I'm getting beat out. How? So I offered, they were actually it was renting for a little bit cheaper. I offered more, and I offered to pay 12 months in advance. That was the only way I was able to get it, because the rental market is so tough. So for you people, and I'm not, that is not a flex, because for me to be in real estate, even though I own other properties and I hadn't rented in 25 years, I only wanted to do it for a year. I ended up doing it for 2 years and a few months. How much did I ended up paying in rent in something that I got no appreciation on? That makes me cringe. Over 100. Wait, so 48,000 times 2 plus a few more months. That's over $100,000 that I put in something that didn't appreciate. So for you guys, y'all are renting on average. You guys are paying $3,000 a month these days, $2,000 a month. That's $24,000. Think about this. An average time that a person stays in the house is 3 to 5 years. So if you're renting for, say, $2,000 on the low end, because rent is high these days. On the low end, you renting at $2,000 at 3 years, right? 24,000 times 3. You just paid $72,000 on somebody else's mortgage. Imagine me, these people these Africans that I lived in their house, I believe it was paid for. So they got they extra $100,000 from me living in their house. I like to be the ones receiving. I don't like to be the ones giving. That hurt when I thought about it. But it was a means to an end. It was end to a means. It was means to end. Whatever. Okay. So, but I did it, and so I didn't like it. And many of you are doing the same thing. And so it's time to get in the game because, like I said, 80% of wealth in this country is generated through real estate. That's the way to freedom. And there are ways that you can do it. What's up, son? Yeah, you do. They just called right now. I guess so. Sorry, my son is bothering me. Hold on. This is an appointment is scheduled for. Hold on. They just called. I did not email you your appointment. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm live right now, son. Call them right now. This is the number, the 301 number. My baby got a doctor's appointment. All right, get out of here. And then bring my phone back. That's what happens when you're live with kids in the house. So there are opportunities. There's more time for families and first-time home buyers to act. So now it's time to act. Okay. The good thing is there is because of the interest rates being where they are, there's less competition. What does that mean? There's more incentives for you to buy because most people are reactive and not proactive, like I said. So because the interest rates are higher, they're never going to be. I got 2 and 3% on some of my. I was telling my daughter last night, we got 2 and 3% on some of our other properties. But I don't got no 2 and 3% on this high ass damn near $1 million property. I don't know, it's high. Okay. And I mean, it is what it is. We're never going to see a 2 or 3% interest rate today. We'll never see that. But you just got to go with the flow. And if the rates lower, then you can refinance and you can reduce your payment. But the thing is, you have less competition because people are going to wait until the interest rates drop. And then when they wait, guess who else is going to wait? Somebody else. And then that brings more competition. And eventually that's going to increase the price of the houses. So you're actually hurting yourself by waiting because you're actually going to end up paying more for the house because you waited. Because now when you have more demand than supply, it actually drives up the cost. So you want to wait until I'm going to wait until the rates go down. Well, everybody else waiting until the rates go down too. And now you got competition. And now you just pay more for the house. Why don't you get in now so that you can, so that you get locked in? And if the rates drop, great, I'm locked in. Now I can reduce my payment because I refinance. Warren Buffett said that buy when everybody else is selling and sell when everybody else is buying. Don't go rushing to buy when everybody else is buying. But if you want to do that, that's cool too. I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and California. Holla, I own a mortgage company as well. Whenever you want to buy, that's cool. But I'm just saying, whatever it is, don't wait, don't delay. If there's an opportunity, one thing for me, I'll tell you, when I was in 2008, because I filed bankruptcy in 2009, 2008, I was a top real estate broker in Stockton, California, which was the central place for foreclosure. Number one place for foreclosures in America was in Stockton, California. I was selling like 300 homes in a year. And I couldn't even buy none of the homes. I had more month than money. I couldn't afford when these houses, these $300,000 houses was $50,000, $25,000. It was a fire sale, which we'll never see again, by the way. I couldn't even buy none of that. And I said, there will never be an opportunity that presents itself like that I'm not able to take advantage of. I never want to be in that position again. And so there's opportunity right in front of everybody. If you take it, you got to be willing to take it. So there's more time for you to act, and there's less competition. So you can start using land banks. There's other loan programs that you can use. There's a FHA 203K. What is that? That's a rehab loan. That will help you to get into a property, get an FHA loan, 3.5% down, and they will pay to rehab the property for you. Start practicing collective economics when it comes to real estate, just like the Asians did back in San Jose back in the 80s. Y'all let's start being communal. Let's move in with each other. Let's create a plan, a vision, 5 steps of accomplishing any goal. Number one, you got to have a vision. Number two, write down a vision. Three, speak the vision. Number four, work the vision. And number five, you receive the vision. It's in all of my books. I talk about the 5 steps to success in all of those, in every book I have, because that's the way that you get from point A to point B. Okay. So if you have some family members, maybe you get a multi-unit. You can purchase a multi-unit. You on one side, somebody else on another side. Now you got somebody helping you pay the mortgage. That will be dope, right? Or perhaps you buy in a college town. One thing that we're doing next year with my son, we're going to buy in Jackson. What does that mean? That means we're going to buy a property that he's going to own. He'll have a bunch of roommates. They're going to pay. So we're going to buy a 3-bedroom place. He has his own room, and then 2 people will share each room. So then that's 4 other people in that house. Each of them will be paying the rent. His mortgage is paid. That's house hacking. So you got to think creatively. And Jackson, Mississippi is one of those places where you could purchase real property. Okay. So think about college towns that you can purchase property at. Okay. So you could tap into grants, which I talk about some of the grants inside the B1 Real Estate Mastery Training. We're getting ready to roll a new cohort of the B1 Real Estate Mastery Training out. And I believe we're going to be doing it sometime in August. I believe I got to get with Dr. Boyce and see when we're going to be rolling that out. But in this training, these are the things that I'm trying to help you do. But it's not just you guys buying these properties. It's really creating sustainable businesses, because a lot of people are out there doing this and they have no idea what they're doing. They don't have no strategy. And you got to have a strategy, even an exit strategy. In some of the, we're talking about joint venture partnerships. You got to have a divorce clause. Like, what if something happens? What if somebody's not pulling their weight? You got to know how to vet people. I teach you all of those strategies inside this training. So that'll be coming up. It's not up yet, but we're talking about it. I was supposed to get my stuff over to Boyce this week, actually, to start advertising it, because we're going to be restarting the new cohort in August. But if it's something that you want to do, you definitely want to invest in yourself so that you can start investing in real estate. Because remember, 80% of wealth in this country is generated through real estate. Okay. So Michael, make sure you tap in with me. Just stay connected, and I'll let you know when it's going to be starting. But just stay connected. I'll be advertising it on my page, and Boyce will be, if you're part of the, you know what? Text Constance to 87948. Text Constance to 87948. And so once, I'm glad you reminded me. So once we roll out the B1 Real Estate Mastery Training, you guys will be the first ones to know about the training. So it'll go exclusively to you. So text Constance to 87948. And once we roll it out, you'll know. But it has been an amazing, like I said, Yvette is in. A lot of people who are watching now are part of the B1 Real Estate Mastery Training. But I just want to help Black people just create sustainable businesses. I don't want to tell you to go out there and just buy a bunch of property all willy-nilly. I want you to create sustainable businesses, because that's what you pass on to your children. That's the legacy that you pass on to your children. Okay. So I see you interested, Donnie. Awesome. What's up, Mary Angelique? You interested? What's up, Deborah? Oh, thank you. Thank you. These raggedy ninjas. I'm going to tell you something. No, I'm not going to talk about them right now, because they make me sick. Anyway. I think that is all I wanted to talk to you about today. You guys, don't just invest where it's easy to invest. Invest where it matters. Build what you want your children to inherit. Okay. So listen, the hood was never the problem. The hood was never the problem. The problem was that we stopped seeing the value. And now that we're seeing other people see the value, now we're being reactive, but we got to be proactive, because now that we know better, we have to do better. So while they buying it to flip it, we need to be buying it back to build it. This is part of the blueprint to closing the wealth gap. This is about power. This is about legacy. And this is our time. All right. So tap in with me. Make sure you text the word Constance to 87948. I also have the Grow Your Money Club. I don't have anybody helping me today. So I have the Grow Your Money Club. So if you're not a part of the Grow Your Money Club, You know what? I forgot to tell y'all the woke tip today. Man, I was so caught up in talking to y'all. I forgot to share the woke tip with you. Hold on. Let me see. Where my woke tip at? Boom.
Welcome to the Woke Minute. Welcome to the Woke Minute. It's your girl, Constance Carter. This is where we will drop quick tips to build wealth, seize opportunity, gain knowledge, and empower your legacy. The hood is only undervalued to those who don't understand its worth. But value isn't what they say, it's what we build. Stop waiting for permission to invest where your roots are. Start turning overlooked neighborhoods into overperforming assets. That's how you grow your money and reclaim your power. Stay ready so you never have to get ready. That's your woke tip, because when you stay woke, you stay wealthy.
Okay. Oh, that was a long one. I guess I did that on purpose. Make sure you get your Stay Woke t-shirt at conversationtees.com. Get your Stay Woke t-shirt. And when I talk about being woke, I'm talking about being wealthy, outstanding, knowledgeable, and empowered. Where would it? Go to conversationtees.com. Get your Stay Woke t-shirt. I do this for the love of the people. But I was actually, while I was looking at that video, I was looking at the comments. I think Cut and Dro said San Jose got its own Vietnam town now. Seriously, for real. That's where I'm from. It's Vietnam town, for real. Yeah, see, Terry said it was the same in California, in Sacramento. I always wondered why there were so many of them in the house. Yeah, we know why now, because they own everything. I'm just reading the comments. Black American Television and News Information said Detroit is in the condition it's in because too many Black people were middle class by working for plants. The elites decided to end the economy. You'll understand why reparations will never be given to us. Yeah, they listen, we're powerful people, and so they don't want to give us reparations. Yes. Can enterprise zones and opportunity zones be used to buy and build infrastructure in the hoods? Yes. Yep. So she just said the same thing. Yeah. What else? This is Trump's plan he had for Black America, but we would have had this, but we did not vote for Trump, so we did not get it. So does that mean that we don't get it just because we didn't vote for him? So he didn't vote for me, so I'm not gonna give it to you. Like, that's crazy. Okay, I'll look at interviewing them and how they're rebuilding Baltimore, because I heard about them too. My family got mad when family members built on old land my family owned, raised the taxes. Oh, it will raise the taxes. And oh, by the way, my mama called me the other day, and this is for you people who are over 55. So in certain areas, especially in California, there's Proposition 13. And so my mom called me because she's like, Niecy, they call me Niecy. My property tax, my mortgage went up. And I'm like, why'd it go up? So her property taxes went up. Well, when you're over a certain age, your property taxes, you should be exempt from property tax increases with Proposition 13. So that's one of the things I got to get off here and make sure that she's exempt. So there are exemptions in certain states for property tax increases. So make sure that if you are over the age of 55 and you see your mortgage going up because of property taxes, that you contact your county assessor and that your property taxes aren't increasing. And if they are, they need to bring them back down. Okay. Because people who are over 55 and on fixed income, they should not have to increase their property taxes. All right. Thank you, Miss Yvonne. I appreciate you. Who else? Let's see. Any other comments? All right. I have a question. Constance is off subject. Do you buy your cigars through an online dealer? No, I just buy cigars when I go to parties and they have cigars. I have a humidor in my room. No, somebody bought it for me. One of my old employees bought it for me, and it said CC the CEO on it. It's cool. All right. So I just wanted to read your comments because I don't have anybody here helping me today. You guys pray for Miss Jahari, who's always on the ones and twos in the back. And so Naomi says she wants to purchase land So hit me up and we could talk about it. And I could, if I'm not licensed in those areas, I could certainly, and if you want to purchase property in any country, any city in the country, not any country, any city in the country, let me know. Shoot me an email at constance@constancecarter.com. And if I'm not licensed in those areas, I can certainly refer you to some people. Where's my email address? I thought my email address was on here. Perhaps it's not, but my email address is Constance. Let me see. It's constance@constancecarter.com. Shoot me an email, like wherever you want to buy, and I will find somebody, or somebody on my staff will find somebody for you. They'll vet them first, make sure that they are qualified to work with you, and then we'll connect you with somebody wherever you are locally. If you need a real estate agent, if somebody in my team can't help you, or if I can't help you, because I still help people too. I have VIP clients that I help, like Miss Sophia is a VIP client, but I don't work with everybody personally, only because I don't have the bandwidth to work with everybody. But I can certainly help direct you, and then I have a team that can also help you as well. Okay. So listen, I appreciate you guys. Let's continue to buy the block while they buying it to flip it. We need to buy it and build it back up. Okay. This is about power. This is about your legacy, and this is about time. All right. So make sure you join the Grow Your Money Club, because in the Grow Your Money Club, I talk about how to create your entities. I talk about how to build your credit. I talk about how to build your business credit. I talk about all of those things to get you to a place where you could go from becoming simply an employee, not just an employee, like it's simple, but whether it's a side hustle, whether it's building another business, get you to the place where you're not working for your money, but your money is working for you. And I will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.